it's common, really common to have that part to want to be recognized and seen. You know, you got to understand that if you embrace this and you embrace it as a life path, there will be people that like you and people that don't. There will be people who think you're great and there will be people who also don't. There's the positives and the negatives in everything that we do. And there is a vulnerability and an insecurity when we're young in the space and learning. And that vulnerability will continue forever. And it's okay. It's okay to acknowledge it. It's okay to accept it. It's okay to move forward even though it's there. That's part of training. Part of the path to really learning how to facilitate or be a shaman, it requires going on a long journey with ego. And the most important thing is just be honest about it. Be honest about where you are with ego and what you're working on. The fact that you're aware of it and working on it at all is really amazing. And it shouldn't be something that stops you. There will be lots of different things that will try to stop you on your path, whether it's to learn shamanism and plant medicine or whether it's to learn anything. There's always these obstacles or challenges, and ego will always be part of it. And so acknowledging that is actually really important. And the humility that sits behind that is also very important. And so it's not a blocker. It's just something to be aware of and to continue to move through in each step of the journey. And recognize that it'll always be there as part of each step of the journey. The doubtful mind, the fearful mind, the insecure mind, those different aspects of self are just part of being alive. And it's okay. And embrace it.
I'm curious if this manifested or continues to manifest in any way for you. Like when you were starting on this path, did you have any version of that part coming up?
For sure. I was doubtful the whole time. It's a very common experience to have. The doubts and also the positive sides of it. There's a desire to succeed, a desire to share. There's also a kind of glamour associated with people, bestowing upon you a tremendous amount of gratitude and thanks. I was very young when I, started, and I was also very young when I was promoted to being able to facilitate on my own and share the practices. That's why I think it's just a common part of this. Sometimes you overcompensate. Sometimes it is a detractor. Sometimes it's something that you have to work through. But ultimately, I think what really matters is that you embrace what is a talent of yours and you embrace something that other people can benefit from. So if you have a talent and you have an affinity for anything, in this case, we're talking about plant medicine, but if it were anything, embrace that talent and allow it to be ultimately affinity for other people to benefit from as well. And so, yeah, of course I experienced this. It's not something that you ever fully, quote, get over. You don't ever really transcend ego because ego is part of how you do the practices. I think when you transcend is the fear, the doubt, the inner concern, the nature of it that would kind of be an obstacle that would try to stop you from being able to continue moving forward. You ultimately recognize that you are part of the conduit of the energy. And so, yes, it's unique to you and you support through that and other people would come to you and look for that kind of help or support. But you're also a conduit of something greater that we're all associated with. And I think that something greater is a great equalizer for us. And it's also important to understand that ego is something that evolves over time. And so when you're in your 20s, your ego looks one way. In your 30s, it looks another way. In your 40s, it looks another way. And it constantly evolves. And so it's just something to be worked with and embraced and ultimately loved. And I think that that's the simplest way to address it.
Yeah, now I want to ask a few questions about working with ayahuasca, and it kind of bridges because at the moment I'm feeling like I want to attend more ceremonies, but I'm also trying to work out what's healthy, and it definitely is possible to become overly dependent on the medicine and to get stuck in, loops. You're not doing integration work and you're just going back for more and more. Was there a point in your journey when you were drinking like very regularly? And if so, how regularly? And how do you know when it's time to do that?
But when I was training, we would drink all the time, but within reason. There's a period of time where you drink and train, and then there's a period of time when you rest and you integrate. And so I pushed the envelope. I really did. I participated often in 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ceremonies in a row. In a short period of time. So over 2 weeks, we could drink 12 straight nights or 9 straight nights. And the most I ever drank in a row was 40 nights. And so that's that was a significant period of training. We were specifically trying to transcend in philosophy a certain kind of duality. And so we were using ayahuasca to push that boundary and to try to grow in our philosophical practices and also medicine practices. I was looking for universal wisdom at that time.